Hello everyone and welcome back to Philosophical Fridays. This is the show where I take a big philosophical question, I break it down, and hopefully by the end of the video we have an answer. So this week's question is, are mandatory minimums necessary? So for those of you who don't know what a mandatory minimum is, it's basically a practice where if you get sentenced for a crime, you have to serve a minimum sentence for the crime you get sentenced for. So basically you have to serve a minimum amount of time for murdering someone, for raping someone, XYZ, insert crime here. So, do I believe that mandatory minimums are necessary? It depends upon the context. It really depends upon the context. For me, if you murder someone, you should have to serve a minimum sentence. You can't serve a day for murdering someone. There has to be some kind of mandatory minimum as far as murder is concerned. But what I mean by it depends upon the context is John Oliver did a great piece on mandatory minimums the other day. And, you know, he did a couple case studies on various people who got arrested for various things and served way longer jail sentences than necessary because of the mandatory minimums. For instance, this guy, I don't remember whether it was 0.03 or 3 grams of heroin, but because he had that heroin possession crime, he had to serve 25 years, I believe it was, for some stupid 0.03 grams of heroin. What's the point of that? This guy is obviously, I mean, they talked a little bit about his background, but he was living on the streets, he needed the money, yada yada yada. And this guy doesn't deserve to serve, I think it was 25 years for 0.03 grams of heroin. It's stupid. Why does this guy deserve 25 years when he could maybe have, I don't know, a year and some probation and whatnot, some rehabilitation to get this guy back into society? I believe in rehabilitation more than I do, you know, just locking someone up in jail. I mean, the mandatory minimums came into effect back in the 80s with Reagan and the tough on crime era. You know, yeah, do the crime, you do your time type thing. That's where that comes from. And it's stupid. It's outdated. I mean, there are the vast majority, especially non-violent drug possession crimes, that you shouldn't have to face a mandatory minimum, especially not of, I don't know how ridiculous, 25 years for 0.03 grams of heroin. It's stupid. The crime, especially these low-level drug possession crimes, I don't think marijuana possession should be illegal. But heroin, yes, I mean the higher PCP, mushrooms, whatever, these high drugs, that should be illegal, obviously. But you gotta keep those, there shouldn't be a minimum. I mean, it should be based upon the context of the situation. The judge or whoever's left in charge should have, you know, a say in, based upon the context of this crime, the context, you know, of the situation, you should serve XYZ amount of time based upon what you did. I think for each individual case, it should be considered differently, appropriately based upon the judge and maybe contribution by the jury, how long, you know, this guy should serve based upon the crime that he did. It doesn't make any sense, like I said. I'm reiterating myself a little bit, but to serve 25 years for 0.03 grams of heroin is stupid. I mean, we heard recently about President Obama giving clemency to, I don't remember exactly how many criminals it was. I think it was around 60 or 70 criminals. And the one guy came out and he was crying and everything. And I think that's a step in the right direction. I mean, rehabilitation is more important than locking some guy in a prison cell for 25 years. It's counterproductive. It's only going to make them spiteful. And I heard the other day about this guy who he got arrested for stabbing people at a gay pride convention, served his time, got out, stabbed 6 people at a gay crime convention. Obviously serving that jail sentence did little to nothing for this guy because he came out just as hateful as he was when he went in. If we had rehabilitated this guy and we taught him, you know, that hating gays is not okay, then, you know, that's good. Giving that guy a mandatory minimum is pointless. You gotta give that guy rehabilitation. Or now, I think, you know, the second time maybe you gotta give this guy in a white wall room, but I mean, it's a difficult thing. I think you need to consider the context of the situation and not just say, okay, crime X, you get this. Murder and, you know, some more serious crimes, I think you need that mandatory minimum. But I think for low-level drug possession crimes, it's stupid to have a mandatory minimum. I mean, you can look at, I think manslaughter is a good one, where I don't know exactly how drunk driving classifies, but someone walks out, it could be counted as manslaughter. Someone walks out on the road, they're not paying attention, you hit them with your car, you kill them. It depends upon the context of the situation, whether, you know, it was more your part or their part, whether you're going to get manslaughter or not. But I don't think that should be treated the same as someone drunk driving. That, I believe drunk driving is criminal negligence. I'm not totally sure on that. But those are two crimes for the purposes of this comparison that should be treated very separately. You shouldn't have the same mandatory minimum for killing someone with drunk driving, which I don't know whether it's manslaughter or criminal negligence or both, and, you know, someone walks out of your car and you kill them. Those are two circumstances that should be treated very differently in my mind, maybe classified as the same crime. They could both be manslaughter, I don't know exactly how it works. But those are two crimes that should be treated very differently, and you shouldn't have a mandatory minimum on there. So that's the end of this commentary, guys. I just wanted to talk briefly about mandatory minimums and how I don't believe they're necessary in every context. I think it depends upon the context of the situation, how it should be treated, and, you know, whether it shouldn't be a minimum for certain crimes. I mean, like I said, murder and those higher level crimes, you should definitely have a minimum. You shouldn't be serving a day for a murder. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you think mandatory minimums are totally necessary? Do you think it's necessary based upon the context, or do you think mandatory minimums shouldn't exist at all? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, thank you so much for watching. If it's your first time here on GreenbergGaming, you should subscribe because you can get more great videos like this. Philosophical Fridays every Friday, where I do a video just like this. Let's Play Sunday and Monday. Right now I'm doing Arkham Knight. That's a really fun Let's Play. It's a great game. I recommend you check it out as well. And Tech Tuesdays. Every Tuesday I round up all the tech news from throughout the week. So you want to stay subscribed. Make sure you don't miss any of that goodness. As always, thank you so much for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.